Good morning, Grace Fellowship family. Ryan asked if we would give you an idea as to what our new normal, the Slavikoski family, looks like. So most days it starts out with me getting up a little bit early and coming down to my office to start my work from home. I am used to being able to work from home for about a day or so a week, but now it's each day, so it's been a bit of an adjustment. But I'm able to come in here and in the morning start off, have my desk here and start my day working. Definitely the big change as to what I haven't been used to is being able to be surrounded by my entire family here while I'm working at home. It's been an adjustment, but definitely been a fun one to be able to have breakfast and everything together, breakfast, lunch, being able to go outside and play a little bit during the day and work off some extra energy. It's certainly been one of those things that's been fun to be able to just spend time with those that we love. It's also one of those things where we got to work out different ideas with having meetings, quiet time, being able to not, make sure that we're not getting in each other's way. But I thought as a way to do this is I'm going to pass it around to each of the family members for them to describe what their new normal has been and how they've been able to adjust to it. So next up would be Anastasia.
Hi guys, Anastasia here. Wanted to share a little bit about my new norm. My day starts about 8:30. I like to come down in the kitchen, have a little quiet time, and then the kids usually rally around 9 o'clock for breakfast. And then after breakfast, then we all really start to work. I recently started working about 2 weeks ago after being off for 3 weeks, trying to figure out what non-public schools were doing, but I got the go-ahead to start doing teletherapy, which has been challenging, but I actually quite enjoy it a lot, and it's going really well. So I'm going to transition here. This is the dining room, but we've created a classroom here, so this is where I spend most of my day. I sit right here, and I will see clients, and then in between clients, I work with Seth here. I keep him to my right, and I will teach him new concepts and help him complete his schoolwork. The girls have been really self-sufficient, so that's been nice. And we just work till about 2:33, and then have some free time and have dinner and play outside and start all over and do it again. So this is my new norm. For those who've been asking, unfortunately, I've really been having to stay away from my parents because Alex had been working, and we just felt like it was safe for our family to not go over there. So it's been hard. I've been missing them, but we feel like that's best right now. So thank you guys for praying for them, and this is our new norm.
Hi guys, it's so great to be able to talk to you. A little bit about my new normal. It's primarily just online school. I get up at 8 a.m. every morning. I have an 8 a.m. group call, and I have my psychology class, and then I get started working from there. I basically come downstairs, and I do most of my work here, which is great. I'm the type of person that needs quiet to get things done, so that's been really great. I have a little setup. It's not much, but it works for me. So I'll show you guys. I have here just some of my books, notebooks, laptop stuff, lots and lots of emails all the time, but it just comes with it. I'm the type of person that kind of needs to be in the environment to learn, so it's been quite an adjustment for me. But it's great to be able to learn how to be flexible and adapt to situations. Thank you so much.
So I'm just going to show you my new normal. Mostly consists of schoolwork and playing outside, and playing video games with my brother, And right now I'm just finishing up some biology. This is where I sit and I do my work. And I've been doing that for a few hours, and then I eat lunch, and then I come back and finish up, and then I kind of just the rest of the day to play and relax, which is nice. And that's most of what I do for my new normal.
Hi guys, this is my new normal. I come downstairs, I eat breakfast, then I do work, then I have lunch. My work takes about 3 to 4 hours, and then I probably play outside with my sisters, play Fortnite with my sisters, and then probably play something else by myself.
It is Abby here. I'm here to tell you a little about my new normal. I usually get up around 9:30 and eat some breakfast and then get right into work. Then I usually end around 3. I work over there. And then after that, I usually practice some cello in the office, which where my dad works. So I usually have to practice after 4 when he gets done. So I practice right here. I usually practice for 30 minutes at most. So it's been really nice to get time to really work hard on that. And then after that, I usually go outside for a little bit and do some other stuff. So yeah, that's a little bit of my new normal.
This is the Slavikoski family, and this is our new normal. Good morning, high five friends. We had a little bit of a snafu this morning. I knocked over the tripod and it broke, so we're kicking it old school. I'm gonna try to hold this camera while we get things rolling. So welcome to a little bit of time with Indescribable and Louis Giglio. Really excited that you're here. You guys want to say hi?
Hi.
All right. Today is called Perfectly Planned and Created. Lord, you are our Father. We are like clay, and you are the potter. Your hands make us all. Isaiah 64:8. There's some pretty interesting, really weird animals in God's creation. One of them is the camel. With its thick, bushy eyebrows, long eyelashes, hump on its back, and big floppy feet, the camel isn't exactly the world's cutest creature. But everything about it was perfectly planned and created by God to help the camel live in the desert.
But it is cute.
It is cute.
A little.
That hump, the big hump, most people think it stores water, but it actually stores fat. That big hump of fat lets the camel go up to a week without drinking water during the summer, and it can go even longer without eating. You know how? The camel can burn the fat in its hump for both energy and water. So what about those bushy eyebrows or long eyelashes? They help keep the desert sand out of their eyes. Camels can even close their nostrils to keep out the sand. And those big floppy feet, they're perfect for traveling long distances in the shifting sands. Yes, camels were created perfectly to live in the desert. Just as fish were created perfectly to live in the water, birds perfectly created to fly, and monkeys perfectly created to swing through the trees, and you were perfectly created to be you. Just as a potter shapes the clay into the vessel she wants to make, God made you with a plan and with a purpose to love Him and to love others, and He gave you special talents and abilities so that you could live out His purpose for you in a unique way that is just like you, and you're the only one that can do it. God is the perfect creator, and He created you according to His perfect plan. Here's our prayer. Lord, I know I'm your creation, and you designed me just the way you wanted me to be. Please show me the talents you've given me and help me to use them in ways that make you smile and help others see you. Here's our Be Amazed part. Baby camels are born without any humps at all. Camels with one hump are called Arabian or dromedary camels. They live in the Middle East. Camels with 2 humps are called Asian camels, and they only live in China
and Mongolia. It's a fun fact right there. Well, thanks for joining us, High Five friends. I hope you have a great day.
Hey church, Luke Ridgely from the Fellowship of Christian Athletes in Carroll County. I wanted to give you guys kind of an update on what ministry has looked like now that the world has kind of been turned upside down, and our ministry especially really thrives on being able to be in schools and be with students, and it's definitely been different post-COVID. One of the biggest things that have changed for the better, I think, is the connectivity that we've had with other staff people from across our region. We go from Pennsylvania all the way down to Virginia and kind of all the states between New Jersey, Maryland, Delaware. And it's been really, really cool to see some folks that I don't really get to see that often and get to see them every Monday morning on a prayer call. It's been really, really encouraging. I actually just got off that call a few minutes ago now. And it was just an absolute blessing. Some update on the local ministry. We've got all of our huddles in the high school age group up and running. We've got virtual huddles going on. We've got virtual huddle leader meetings going on. It's been really, really cool to get to still see my Winners Mill students. So love you guys, love this church, and I can't wait to see you guys again. God bless. Bye.
John Staley here. I'm here to talk about the current ministry that I'm involved with. It is called the 7 Mile Walk with Jesus. The 7 Mile Walk with Jesus is a 3-day retreat put on to strengthen the faith and to raise up leaders in the church. The preparation process takes 4 to 6 months to prepare for this weekend. And then we invite guests to come in and listen to talks and do some other activities. The way this COVID-19 has affected our ministry is it has been difficult, impossible to get together to meet. We've had to communicate mostly through email, telephone, and now we're going to start communicating through Zoom. Hopefully in the later weeks, starting in June, is when we have about 30 guys who have to get together to prepare for this weekend. We'll be able to meet in person at the church to prepare to put on this weekend. And the prayers that I ask for you is that we can continue to meet, or that we can meet, and that God works in this whole weekend and it does what God desires.
I'm Floyd Westbrook. I'm the Senior Pastor and Recovery Program Director at the Westminster Rescue Mission. We're a long-term, 9-month residential program for men who are battling drug and alcohol addiction. So we've got a group of men that are here through all of the shutdown period and that kind of thing, who are continuing to work on their addiction, to continue, to seek counseling, and open to a pattern of hearing the gospel and trying to incorporate that into their recovery. So all of that is good and great things to be praying for them. I know one of the good things that can happen for men in long-term recovery is the mending of relationships with friends and family, and so that's been slowed because they haven't been able to take passes, they haven't been able to receive visitors. So another thing to pray for them, to be able to keep their spirits up and maintain their long-term commitment to recovery. We have a women's program that is slated to begin. It was actually supposed to start in April and will likely now be pushed back to May or June in receiving women who are seeking a long-term recovery program. Also, our food program is a great thing to continue to pray for. We go to local grocery stores, pick up food, and then distribute that to folks in the community who have needs. So that we can continue picking up food, that we can continue trying to meet needs there, is also a great thing to pray for. So thanks for listening to me, and thanks for keeping us in your prayers.
The first part of the ministry would be serving women whose lives have been impacted by incarceration. This is a weekend retreat developed to support ladies through a journey of healing, which ultimately leads them to an introduction to the Kairos community. Many times this is the first time a lady has seen and received agape love from another, and it is a privilege to be on a team to give Christ's love in action. It's so hard to describe the weekend. All I can say is it's amazing. Our spring retreat was postponed due to social distancing and health concerns. It's been changed to October the 23rd through the 25th. Appraise, the facility had already been booked for those dates because I was to lead a weekend during that time. My weekend will be postponed now to the spring. I think the greatest impact, however, has been to the guests that we would have been serving. And I would ask that you would continue to pray for our guests, that they would be able to come on the weekend, even with the financial hardships that they might be facing, and to help them with the anxiety that they still have over job issues and health concerns currently. Also, please keep the team in your prayers. Many have the same concerns that our guests have. They're unable to see their incarcerated loved ones. They're anxious over the loss of income and the toll that the time commitment may have to continuing to team in the fall.
One of the changes for Kairos outside of Maryland during COVID-19 is the formation of a prayer team, which meets twice a month on a Zoom call for an hour and a half of prayer. The prayer team for Kairos outside of Maryland's main goal is praying specifically for the needs of our ministry. We are praying for the needs of prisoners in the state of Maryland, that they will remain healthy and protected from this virus, that God will renew their minds and guard them from mental health issues during this time of increased isolation. Please pray for the prisoners' families, that they will be encouraged during this time, that they will be able to maintain contact through phone calls and emails, as visits are not allowed at this time. Imagine not being able to see your family members at all. Pray for the Division of Correction, correctional officers, and other staff for their health and safety, that they will be encouraged and not overwhelmed, that they will be able to rest when they have days off, as staffing is already short and they are working a lot of long hours. Pray for Kairos Ministry of Maryland, the Advisory Council, the state chapter, KPMI across the country, and the world, that we can continue the needed activities to keep the ministry moving forward. As well as prayers for how to best support all those involved in all aspects of the Kairos ministries, from volunteers to the incarcerated and their families. And as Marilyn shared, please pray for Kairos Outside number 28, and for each weekend that will follow, its leaders, the team members, and guests. Pray that God will encourage them and provide all financial resources that are needed. Please join me in praying for all of the Kairos ministries, inside, outside, and Torch. And when this quarantine ends, join me and all the other amazing volunteers from GFC who joyfully serve in this ministry.
You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you, I worship you. You are here, working in this place. I worship you, I worship you. You are a waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. You are Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. You are here, touching every heart. I worship you, I worship you. You are here, healing every heart. I worship you, I worship you. You are here, turning lives around. I worship you, I worship you. You are here, mending every heart. I worship you, I worship you. You are Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. You are Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. 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 You are Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. You are Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. And even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop, you never stop. Oh, and even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop, you never stop. You are Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. You are Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. 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 You are Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. You are Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are. That is who you are. walking around these walls. I thought by now they'd fall, but you have never failed me yet. Waiting for change to come, knowing the battle's won. For you have never failed me yet. Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness, faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You never failed me yet. And I know the night won't last. Your word will come to pass. My heart will sing your praise again. Jesus, you're still enough. Keep me within your love. My heart will sing your praise again. Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness, faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You never failed me yet. Never failed me yet. I've seen you move the mountains, and I believe I see you do it again. You made a way when there was no way. I believe I see you do it again. I've seen you move the mountains, and I believe I see you do it again. You made a way when there was no way, and I believe I see you do it again. I see you do it again. Oh, your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness, faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You never fail. Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness, faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You never failed me yet. You never failed me yet.
Hello, friends, and welcome to Grace Fellowship Chapel. Excited that you chose to spend your evening here with us. It's a great time to hop in. We just started a new series last week. It's called The Now What. It's that kind of that space that's after the new normal and not yet to where we hope we'll be in a couple weeks or maybe a couple months. I don't know. It's this kind of in-between period of time. The space where we're going, well, now what? And so last week we talked a little bit about the difference between two sort of mentalities, the clinging mentality and the cut and loose mentality. And basically what we said was that there's some things that we need to cling to, Jesus being the main one. We need to cling to Jesus in the midst of everything else that's going crazy, everything else that's maybe a little bit of chaotic around us. We need to be clinging tight to Jesus. And at the same time, there's some things that we need to cut loose. Some things that we've hung on to that we thought were going to help us through all this, and the reality is they're really weighing us down. They're causing trouble. Just like we saw with Paul and his story as he was sailing across the Mediterranean, they needed to cut loose some cargo so that they could float a little higher in the water and make it through a really horrible storm. And so we learned that there's stuff that we need to cling to in Jesus, and there's lots of stuff that we need to cut loose. And so as we move into this next week of this Now What series, well, honestly, the ideas that I had for this week, they kind of popped up while I was having a conversation with a friend. Went on a walk and we're just kind of catching up, social distancing, catching up, while we're trying to figure out everything that's going on. And as the conversation is going out, we're realizing there's this sense of, what's the word? Discontentment, a lack of productivity, just a general sense of restlessness in our hearts. And it's really hard to put our fingers on exactly why we're feeling that way or what might it be causing it all. And it kind of got me thinking, we're in a season that it's really hard to feel productive, really hard to feel like we're making a difference. And yet that's what so much of our society is driven on. So much of what we have going on in the world today is based off of what we can do and what we can provide. And we're in a season right now where it doesn't feel like we can bring a whole lot to the table in many circumstances. And for a lot of us, that has us feeling restless and unproductive. And unfortunately, there's some side effects to that, right? Because there's nothing wrong with being productive. There's nothing wrong with working hard and accomplishing much. But the downside is if we start to get into this rut where we don't feel productive and we feel restless and we end up taking it out on the people around us, it ends up hurting our relationships. And so this week in the Now What, I want us to wrestle with this idea of placing people over production, people over productivity, people over it all. And so as we do that, once again, we're going to look at Jesus and his model about how to structure our lives, how to set things in the right proper context, the right proper priority as we're working through things. And there's lots of places that we could start with this, right? But I think it's really important to realize that Jesus, he had some really important goals, some things that he really was working towards during his time here on earth. And one of them was working towards the cross. Working towards the cross. We think of the cross as like the culmination of our faith. And really, for Jesus, he knew that was the end goal from the very beginning. Before he ever came down here and said, yes, Father, I'll go down. I'll do it for them. He knew that the end result was going to be that he'd give his life as a ransom for us so that we could be made right before the Father in heaven. And so he knew the cross was the end goal. He knew that was where it was going to end up when it was all said and done. And so in Luke chapter 9, verse 51, it says that Jesus set his face like flint towards Jerusalem, in a hard direction towards Jerusalem, not wavering at all. I love how another translation said it, and it said it like this. He says, as the time approached for him to be taken up to heaven, Jesus resolutely set out for Jerusalem. Jesus resolutely set out towards Jerusalem. And so as he's resolutely setting out towards Jerusalem, just like a lot of our stories, stuff comes up, right? He's got this goal, he's got this objective in mind, the way that he would see life as being productive. He's got to get to the cross, accomplish what he's come for. And in the midst of that, people pop up. I don't know if that's happened at all in your story this past week or not, but I just know how many times I've had a Zoom meeting and the kids come running downstairs right at the very middle of it, and they're like, Dad, I need help with this. I don't understand this in math. And so often I'm just like, oh gosh, not right now. Please, not right now. Like, Lyric, Micah, go away. Like, I can't do it. Or Jess will come down as I'm editing something, and she'll say, hey, could you mind editing this for me and getting this set up so I can send this video out to some of my ladies? And I'm like, oh, not at all the way that I want things to go. And so in the midst of me desiring to be productive, me desiring to get stuff done, I find these interruptions by people so incredibly difficult to navigate in a grace-filled way. But when we look at Jesus, we don't find that. We don't find that he has a whole lot of trouble with it. And so we really need to begin taking some of our cues from Jesus. We want to see people over this productivity, people over all of this production that we would have in our minds. And so there's lots of places, like I said, that we could look for this example. But I thought one of the places as we move forward past Luke 9, there's a spot in Luke 18. It's actually smack dab in the middle of three instances where Jesus is kind of interrupted on his way to Jerusalem. The first is an interaction that he has with a rich young ruler, one that's probably something that many of us have heard before, where Jesus interacts with this rich young ruler who thinks he's done everything he needs to make it into heaven. And Jesus says, there's actually a little bit more. And then after that interruption, there's one that we're actually going to focus on today. And it's Jesus in this interaction with a guy named Bartimaeus. And it starts off like this. Luke chapter 18, verse 35 is where we'll start. As Jesus approached Jericho, a blind man was sitting by the roadside begging. When he heard the crowds going by, he asked, what was happening? They told him, Jesus of Nazareth is passing by. He called out, Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. Those who led the way rebuked him and told him to be quiet, but he shouted all the more, Son of David, have mercy on me. And Jesus stopped. He ordered the man to be brought to him. When he came near, Jesus asked him, what do you want me to do for you? Lord, I want to see, he replied. Jesus said to him, receive your sight. Your faith has healed you. Immediately, he received his sight and followed Jesus, praising God. When all the people saw it, they also praised God. And some things that popped in my head as I'm reading this. As Jesus is heading towards Jerusalem, he set his face like flint towards Jerusalem. This guy is calling out, literally interrupting his journey. Son of David, have mercy on me. Over and over and over again, he's crying this out. And Jesus, not like upset, not indignant that he's been interrupted, so to speak, but he calls him over. And he asks him a really simple and yet really profound question. He says, Bartimaeus, that's his name from another passage that we see the same story. Bartimaeus, what do you want me to do for you? And I love this question that Jesus asks. What do you want me to do for you? What do you want me to do for you? And I think it's a question that he's still in the business of asking today. Ryan, what is it that I can do for you? In the midst of 2020 and this global pandemic and the coronavirus, COVID-19, all of this stuff, Ryan, what is it that I can do for you? He's still not too busy to be interrupted from the ruling of the universe. And yet all too often, if I'm interrupted from whatever thing that I feel like I need to be doing to be productive, my reaction is not, oh, son, oh daughter, oh wife, what can I do for you? Unfortunately, more often than I would like to admit, my response is not nearly so kind, not nearly so gracious. I mean, just think about a world where instead of being indignant about the interruptions that we experienced, our response was, well, what can I do for you? Oh, Mr. BMW that just cut me off without using his blinker. Oh, what can I do for you? Can I scoot over and let you get on your way a little bit faster? Obviously, you're in a hurry. Obviously, you've got somewhere to be. What can I do for you? Neighbor that just needs to talk. What can I do for you, son or daughter that needs help with their schoolwork? What can I do for you, friend who's feeling alone and isolated in the midst of this COVID-19? What can I do for you, coworker who doesn't know how to handle the whole telecommuting thing? What can I do for you? I wonder if we got in the business of asking that question before we felt the need to be frustrated because of our lack of productivity in the midst of a really trying time. What could I do for you? Jesus always prioritizes people over production. People over productivity. It's always people. You see, Jesus, he understood that there's always going to be this sense of hurry that is pushing us, driving us towards whatever it is that we feel like we need to be doing to be productive. But in the midst of all that, this hurry, it's the enemy of the Spirit-filled life. Hurry is the enemy of the Spirit-filled life. Here's a quote from John Mark Comer in his book, The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. And he wrote this: I'm struck by how fiercely present Jesus was, how he would not let anything or anyone rush him into the next moment. Even in the midst of working towards the cross, knowing that's the end goal, that's the objective in his story, what he's working towards, he always spent time to focus on what was right in front of him. The person that was standing right there. Blind Bartimaeus, right here, what can I do for you? Person who's just lost their job or has been put on furlough. What can I do for you? Small business owner is not sure how they're going to make ends meet. What can I do for you? In the midst of everything else going on, Jesus stops and gives his undivided attention to you, to me. And I love that. But I also recognize my own inability or lack of grace in those moments. How I end up leaning towards all sorts of other things. And I like how in Comer's book, he points out a few things that, well, they're symptoms of what he calls hurry sickness. And I think after you've heard some of these, you might, like I did, realize maybe that's something that you struggle with. Irritability, hypersensitivity, restlessness, workaholism, emotional numbness, out of order priorities, lack of care for your body, escapism behaviors, slippage of spiritual disciplines, and isolation. All of these, Comer says, they're symptoms of a bigger issue. It's not just that you're getting frustrated because you feel unproductive. You feel frustrated because you're hurrying out of this moment into the next moment. We need to take a cue from Jesus and just pause and focus on what's right in front of us for that moment, because the moments, they pass all too quickly. But in that moment, pause and focus intently on what's in front of us, what's right here, right now, so that we can honor this person or honor this task that's right in front of us. And then we can move on to what's next. Because if you're like me and if you have had struggles with this issue of hurry sickness, as Comer puts it, there's hope. Take heart, there is hope. And I love this hope that's found in 2 Peter, and it says this. There is hope from this weight of hurriedness, and it says this. His divine power gives us everything we need for life and for godliness through our knowledge of him who called us by his own glory and goodness. And the first thing that we just have to see here is that all of this is his divine power has given us everything we need for life and for godliness. It is not Ryan and it is not you that have the power to do all of these things, to function in the present, to be intentionally focused on what's right in front of us, to be able to ask that question like Jesus did, what can I do for you, in a loving and kind tone? What can I do for you, dear friend? What can I do for you, my daughter? What can I do for you, my loving wife? What can I do for you? How do we do that? Well, we do that through Jesus' divine power working in us, because we said this last week, it all starts with Jesus. If we're not clinging to Jesus and that divine power that he gives to us, it's going to be fruitless. We're going to be spinning our wheels and not getting anywhere. So it's his divine power that gives us everything we need for life and for godliness through our knowledge of him who called us by his own glory and goodness. And then it goes on in verse 5 to say this: for this very reason, make every effort to add to your faith goodness, and to goodness knowledge, and to knowledge self-control, and to self-control perseverance, and to perseverance godliness, and to godliness brotherly kindness, and to brotherly kindness love. For if you possess these qualities in increasing measure, they will keep you from being ineffective and unproductive in your knowledge of the Lord Jesus Christ. And if our frustration in this time is feeling ineffective and unproductive, man, if we focus on these things, the promise is that as we learn more about Jesus, we get connected deeper and deeper to Jesus, this knowledge of him is going to keep us from being ineffective and unproductive in this world, because we're going to be experiencing goodness and knowledge and self-control and perseverance, godliness, brotherly kindness, and love in increasing measures. And you see how they almost are like the polar opposites of some of those symptoms that we experience when we're in this hurry mode or having this hurry sickness, as Comer puts it. Irritability is no longer there because we've got this sense of kindness that's surrounding us, and love that's surrounding us. This hypersensitivity, it's not there because I've got this goodness and this knowledge, self-control, perseverance. I'm able to push through all of these things. And ultimately, when it's all said and done, I experience a supernatural sense of effectiveness and productivity as I'm zoning in on, as I'm focusing in on Jesus, that one thing that's going to allow all of this to happen. Because it's his divine power, and it's him that we're focusing in on as we're working towards these end goals, as we're adding to our faith all of these things. And so I want to encourage us tonight. I want to implore us tonight to place people over productivity. To say, I'm choosing to focus on you. What can I do for you? How can I help you? What can I do to pause and just focus on you in this moment and get away from this hurriedness that is just plaguing our society and causing us to have an inability to just focus on the here and now, like we see Jesus so kindly and so gently doing with blind Bartimaeus. And so as we move into the rest of this series, as we move into life, the answer for, well, now what? Now what? Now we get to focus on people. The thing that we really should have been doing all along, the thing that, well, to be honest, Jesus focused on from the very beginning. And maybe it's taking some of us a quarantine experience, COVID-19, to have a come to Jesus moment and realize just how important people are and how much further down that scale productivity and production really is. Let's pray. Jesus, Lord, I thank you for today. I thank you for these friends. Thank you for an opportunity to elevate people in our eyes, the ways that we care for them. Thank you for your many examples. Lord, this one example is from Luke 18, but we're blessed with so many examples throughout Scripture, the way that you just pause in the midst of some busyness, in the midst of your goals and aspirations, your desire to be productive in your time here on earth, and yet you still pause and you focus. So Lord, thank you for that. Thank you for focusing on us to the point that you'd be willing to go to the cross and die a death that you didn't deserve so that we could be made right with you. We're so thankful for that. We love you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Your love is devoted like a ring of solid gold, like a vow that is tested, like a covenant of old. Your love is enduring through the winter rain and beyond the horizon, with mercy for today. Faithful you have been, and faithful you will be. You pledge yourself to me, and that's why I sing. Your praise will ever be on my lips, ever be on my lips. Your praise will ever be on my lips, ever be on my lips. Your praise will ever be on my lips, ever be on my lips. Your praise will ever be on my lips, ever be on my lips. You father the orphan, your kindness makes us whole, and you shoulder our weakness, and your strength becomes our own. You're making me like you, clothing me in white, bringing beauty from ashes. For you have your bride, free of all her guilt, and rid of all her shame, and known by her true name. And that's why I sing. Your praise will ever be on my lips, ever be on my lips. Your praise will ever be on my lips, ever be on my lips. Your praise will ever be on my lips, ever be on my lips. Your praise will ever be on my lips, ever be on my lips. You will be praised, you will be praised. With angels and saints we sing, worthy are you, Lord. You will be praised, you will be praised. With angels and saints we sing, worthy are you, Lord. Worthy are you, Lord. praise, of all our praise. Worthy are you, Lord. And it's why I sing, your praise will ever be on my lips, ever be on my lips. Your praise will ever be on my lips, ever be on my lips. Your praise will ever be on my lips, ever be on my lips. Your praise will ever be on my lips, ever be on my lips.
Thanks so much for joining us tonight. Really glad that you chose to spend your evening here with us at Grace. If this is your first time joining us, we'd love if you went over to our website, www.gfcwestminster.com. There you'll find a page called I'm New, and it gives us an opportunity to get to know you and your family, a chance for you to fill out a brief form, and then an opportunity for us to respond back with just a token of our appreciation for spending your evening here with Grace. If something about tonight piqued your interest in Grace and you'd like to know more about what it would mean to get plugged in, or what it means to follow Jesus, or to be baptized, to join a life group, there's another page there that we want to point you to. It's called Next Steps. There you'll find everything you need to take those next steps in the journey here with Grace. And then finally, for those of you that call Grace Fellowship Chapel your home, we want to remind you that there's an opportunity to give online. www.gfcwestminster.com/give has an opportunity that you can just fill out a few quick questions and do all of your giving online. A great chance to still practice biblical stewardship even though we're not in the building together. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. We're really excited that you spent your night here with us at Grace.